Hey guys, how you doing? Good evening. I'm chilling out. Oh, that's going to close on me. I really should have brought my tripod. I said that last time, didn't I? I did. I said that last time. So, I'm chilling out in the backyard here. It's actually finally cooled down a little bit today here in Melbourne, so that's been nice. Yeah, cool. So, I've got to keep an eye on the time because I've got to head off soon for another client, but that's all right. I've got a bit of time now, and I thought I would jump on the live stream, say hey, and let you guys know what I'm up to, right? So, what I am up to, and this is probably going to come as quite a shock to quite a few of you who know how I feel about things like detoxes, but I am actually doing a cleanse, right? So let me talk a little bit about that, right? So this is actually a liver cleanse, and the reason that I'm doing this is because of basically how I've been feeling, and in the process of that, I went and had my kinesiology appointment yesterday. And from those of you who may understand what kinesiology is, if you don't, basically it's a way of evaluating your body and emotions through like a biofeedback type system. So it kind of tunes in, the practitioner will find different ways of basically working out the biofeedback of your body and things that your body and emotions are saying subconsciously and unconsciously. So this is a big step for me, with a lot of different reasons coming up over the last few months, but especially because I've wanted to work a little bit more on tapping into I forget which one it is. There's like the yin and the yang energy, right? So one of them's like the more masculine, one of them's the more feminine energy. And I've always been very powerful and very strong in my masculine energy, which probably shows. And you probably realize that I'm pretty, tough and all that kind of stuff. So that's always been me, very independent, very strong-willed, very motivated and driven and that kind of stuff. But I'm learning, and I'm taking the time now to work out how to tap into the other energy, the far more feminine energy, right? And so part of that as well, while I've been seeing the kinesiologist, I've just noticed that I've been coming into bad habits again, like thinking back on my days when I was binge eating many years ago. Now, it's obviously nothing like that or anywhere near that level. However, there has been a lot more emotions and issues coming up around food for me, and just overeating and turning to food when I don't really need it, but just kind of want to. It's an escape mechanism for me. It always has been, right? It's kind of like I always say to some people, food is a drug of choice. When especially with me being as controlled in everything else as I am, that was never going to be alcohol or drugs or anything like that. It became food, right? So that's been basically what has accumulated into this. So I said, I came to her yesterday, to my kinesiologist practitioner, and I said that basically I'm feeling like I'm not getting anywhere at the moment. I'm kind of at a stalemate, and I'm kind of I feel like I'm going one step forward, two steps back constantly. And so she did what she does, which is a whole bunch of different things that's just too complicated to explain if you've never done it before. But basically in that time, we worked out that what my body needs right now is a liver cleanse, right? So my liver is being really overworked, which doesn't surprise me because I do have very high standards for everything, including myself, most especially myself. And therefore, it's very easy for me to basically just expect too much of myself and just push myself and burn the candle at both ends, so to speak, and all that kind of stuff, especially because so much of what I do is what I love. And so even when I may need to take a step back, I won't. And that's not really a problem, because I believe that when it's passion-driven, when it's purpose-driven, you don't need to take a step back from what you love and what you love to do. But there comes a certain point where you are just running certain systems too hard. And if you've ever seen me in a gym or anything like that, you'll know that I like to push really hard. And basically my liver's it's just overrun. It's kind of saying, Anna, you need to let me chill for a sec. You need to let me recuperate. I can't give you all the results that you're wanting if I'm just trying to play catch up in playing at your level, right? So that's fine. So what I'm doing is I'm doing my liver a favor, and I'm actually going to give it a chance to catch up so it can play at my level, right? That's my way of putting the spin on it. So I'm not going to go into the details of what the cleanse is, right? And the reason for this is because it's actually really, really pointless for me to tell people, oh, this is my cleanse and you should do this, because it is specifically for me. And by that, I mean literally, like when I was with my practitioner, she worked out exactly what my body was telling her it needed in terms of what supplements or what methods and like things about food that I'm going to be cutting out for a few weeks, and how long my body needs. That's the other thing, is it actually will tell you in kinesiology how long it needs to do it. So look, whatever your beliefs are about it, that's fine. I don't care if you think this is all woo-woo, that's cool. You don't have to believe it, that's fine. However, I've always believed that whatever our beliefs are, whatever we actually take on and decide that this is something that we believe fervently and passionately, it will work. That is the secret, right? That is the secret, is to believe what you want and believe it so much that you will bring it into existence. So I absolutely believe that this is working because I've seen A, the results so far, and B, because I've also actually chosen to believe, right? And I think that's part of it, and that's the whole placebo effect. And look, at the end of the day, if it's a placebo effect and it's getting me the results I want, well, fuck, who cares, right? It's still worth it. It's still absolutely worth it. So, so I'm doing this cleanse now, right? And so it's going to go for 3 weeks. And so I thought I'd jump on the live stream, and it was more even kind of like a check back, right? So it can be like, okay, in 3 weeks' time, I kind of have something to be accountable for, to go, oh yeah, let's report back. Let's see how it's panned out and all that kind of stuff. So I'm actually quite excited. I'm a little bit, like, some of the stuff that I've been doing is, I can feel that shifts are happening in my body already. Like, it's only day one, but I can already kind of feel differences, not in my energy. My energy's fine. Not getting headaches or anything like that, because I'm not like detoxing. I'm not, cutting out caffeine. That'd be crazy. So I'm not doing anything like that. It's just purely just other forms. And already, honestly, just today, I'm already feeling I kind of said it to my husband that I'm feeling a little bit off. But I didn't mean it in a negative way. I meant it in a way where, you know how you can feel yourself growing sometimes. You're going through growing pains. It's kind of like that. It's not a pain at all. Or maybe it is, and I have a higher pain tolerance than most people, but I don't think it is. It's really more of not a growing pain, but a cleansing energy, right? So it's kind of, it feels off. It feels like something's happening and toxins are basically starting to come out, that kind of feeling. And it's nice. It's nice, actually. So I'll keep you posted on how that goes, right? So I'm doing this for 3 weeks, and I'm really actually quite excited about it. So I will definitely let you know how it goes. And the other reason I wanted to talk about this is because of something that I think is very undervalued when it comes to, when it comes to body fat loss. There is something that keeps creeping up, and I find this with myself and I find this with my clients constantly, right? And it's very, very missed a lot of the time. People forget that this is a real factor, right? And this is part of the reason why I'm doing the cleanse as well, is because I need to get my liver to a point where it can function to the results that I want, which is to get even more fat loss now. And at the moment, it's struggling. Like when we did the testing, the biofeedback testing, right, with my practitioner, it came up at 34%. Now, I know, again, whatever you believe about how that works, that's fine. But that is what came up with it, and I felt that was about right, to be honest. I could just see, right? So where we're meant to be getting it to after this 3 weeks is, I think it came up to above 90% if I stick with the cleanse that we've been prescribed by my body, right? So I will definitely keep you posted on how that goes, because I find that that's the most important thing, really, is to work out what works for your body, right? Oh, we've got lots of people on the stream now. Say hi if you're there. Haven't had this many people on a stream for a while. So let me know that you're there. Say, hey, let me know what you're up to. Yeah. All right. So the thing that I want to talk about, this thing that is the misunderstood and the really missed point of fat loss. And this is something that is very difficult to explain to people, especially when I'm, maybe have a client for like a short period of time, for whatever reason, whether it's just they've had one session or something like that. You don't get around to explaining this or even explaining how important this is, right? And the thing that this is, hi, Lexi. Hi. Thanks for saying hi. So the reason that this is so important, right, is because our fat loss comes down to obviously all the physical stuff. So in terms of your diet and your eating, we know that. And people talk about sleep, people talk about stress and all that kind of stuff. They don't really explain a lot of the time just why it's so important to look at the stress part of it. So let me delve into this just a little bit, right? Cool. Basically, if you don't know, our body stores different things, like, for example, our fat stores, right? Now, a lot of people want to get rid of fat, obviously, because it doesn't look good. We don't want it. It's actually really, really crucial for us. And the reason is it's a protection. It's a barrier, right? It's like a buffer. So when we have a lot of toxins in our body, which can be from stress, it can be from lots of things. It can be from inflammation. So it can be if you're eating the wrong foods for your body, that can cause that as well. That's another big thing. But let me try and stick to the point for once, right? If you have a lot of toxicity in your body from stress, your body's going to hold on to that fat because it needs that buffer, it needs that protection. If you've ever, like, remember back in your science books or whatever it is, if you looked at lipids and things like that, they're quite, they're thick, round little things. Like, I don't know if they're actually round, but they're chunky, they're soft, they're spongy. They're there to act as a buffer. They're there to act as a safety mechanism against this toxicity, right? So when you have this build-up of toxicity in your body, it makes it really hard to shift weight. And I've seen this, and shift fat, more to the point. And I've seen this just over and over and over with clients who are obviously a lot like me, because again, we attract who we are, right? So I tend to attract people like me who are very gung-ho, very hardcore, hard workers, absolutely prepared to put all the work in. They, go all in, that kind of stuff, which is great. And it gets them results, except when it gets to a stage where they're just pushing themselves too hard in the wrong direction, and to the point that they're basically punishing themselves to get to that point. And their body's under so much stress that it's just building up so much toxicity in different ways, in inflammation, in the blood, in the lymph nodes, in the lymphatic system, all that kind of stuff. And they feel like they're beating their head against the wall. They're doing everything right in terms of their nutrition, in terms of their training, all that kind of stuff. And they're just not getting leaner, right? And this is it is so overlooked, and it is so crucial to understand, right? Because while we're trying to lose all this fat, we forget that it's there as a protection. It's there as a protective mechanism. So if we want that fat to shift, like, there's obviously other reasons as well. It's an energy store, right? So obviously once you burn through enough energy that you don't need, then it'll shift as well to a certain degree. I'm talking about, when it's really just getting tough, right? So if you've got still 5, 10, 15, whatever kilos to lose, maybe down to about the 5, it can start to get hard, but otherwise it shouldn't be that hard to shift some of the weight. If it is getting to that point, then there's a really good chance that your body is hanging on to the fat, right, as a protective barrier. It's protecting itself from the toxicity, because if it wasn't there, it would start killing your body. It would start literally eating it alive, right? So it needs to stay there. It needs to act as that buffer. It needs to protect your body. So the thing to do, right, which is the next part, the solution, right, is basically to look at what it is that is causing this stress and to chill out with it. So I definitely recommend seeing different practitioners, right? So I probably don't talk enough about just how much actual self-care goes into my routine as a regular basis, right? So I know I kind of come off a lot of the time just really full on and really just go and hustle and all that kind of stuff, because again, I don't believe hustle is bad, right? However, there is so much self-care that goes into that. And even that has led me to the point where my liver got to 34% of its capabilities, which is not great. It's not great. So even that has led me here, right? So basically, if this is where I'm at, chances are, if you are not, a personal trainer by trade or really, really knowledgeable in the health and fitness industry or whatever, and you're not really that confident in it, then chances are you're probably stressing your body a lot more than you realize, because of nutritional gaps that you don't understand, or exercise gaps that you don't understand, or whatever it is. There's so many different reasons that it could be, right? And that's where having some help with that would be a fantastic idea. Definitely, I'm 100% behind supporting, seeing a kinesiologist if you're open to it, and you have to be open to it. This is really crucial. It does not work unless you believe in it, unless you are prepared to relinquish some control. And this is why it actually ended up being so crucial for me to do this, because unlike any other therapy that I've had before, whether it's massage, acupuncture, cupping, all that kind of stuff, coaching, right? Unlike that, this is me relinquishing control. You have no control in the kinesiology session. It is literally your body and your mind subconsciously giving out the information, and you basically just have the choice of whether you're going to accept and deal with what comes up or you don't, right? So you can, look, you always have the choice to go, nah, that's not me, I don't own this, nah, whatever, and shut it down. But at the end of the day, if you want to trust that your body knows what's best, then you're going to have to give yourself over to the process. And this is huge for me, and for, I dare say, a lot of people like me, which may be you, that have problem with relinquishing control and with letting something else take the reins, right? And it has been a powerful, powerful lesson for me, because, like I said, it was that misbalance of masculine and feminine energy, where over the years, if you know my history, I'm not going to go all into it right now, but obviously all the stuff that went down with my dad killed himself last year. It was not a great relationship by any means, all my life growing up and everything. So there was a lot that went into that, right? And a lot of emotional baggage that came with that as a child I didn't process properly, or in any way, really. I just kind of built up a really strong exterior, a really strong wall, and really tough, strong-willed, determined, all that kind of stuff, which is great. That's still all really useful, and I'm not going to take that away, because that's a huge part of who I am and I love it. However, in that process, it has led to the stage where now it's like, well, I don't need that. I don't need to be so scared of being hurt, basically, is what it came down to, that all these protection barriers were there, all this masculine, strong energy. It became power trip, right? I discovered, we all have different hormones, right? And that's actually, I need to go back to that point in just a sec about hormones, because that's really crucial. So we all have a mix of different hormones. As you might know, males have more testosterone buzzing around than females in general. However, as a female, I discovered this amazing hormone within me that gave me all this energy and drive and passion, and just it's an incredible hormone, right? And I cultivated it, basically. I added fuel to the fire with my mind, with my body, with my food, all that kind of stuff. And it's gotten to that point where, like I said, at the beginning, my liver is at the stage now that it's just not very pleased with me. Look, I'm not dying or anything like that, or anywhere close to it or anything like that. But I definitely am finding it more difficult than I used to in order to do things like shift fat. And so I am doing what I want to do, which is basically to make that easier for myself, which is why I'm doing this cleanse. And like I said, I'm not going to go into details about what it is, because there is no point, right? Because it was literally my body telling me through the practitioner exactly what it needs for itself, not for, the liver cleanse prescription that you get over the counter at the pharmacy, which is basically one of the worst things you can probably do, because the problem with those, all that kind of stuff, all the detoxes, all of the generic brand stuff, the real issue with it is, especially when it says that it's going to cleanse, or it's going to clean out, detox a particular organ or whatever it is, in reality, it's actually putting it under more stress. Like if you've looked at the ingredient list and all that kind of stuff, like it's full on. You're starving your body. You're not giving it all the nutrients. Most of them are just loaded with sugar, which is the last thing that your body needs when it's trying to detox and cleanse itself, especially if it's liver or something like that. So that's the problem, right? I'm not condoning here that everyone just goes on a random cleanse because that does not work. This is purely something that I'm doing that is very specifically tied to me. And definitely if this is something that you feel is resonating with you, that, okay, yeah, I feel like I'm also going 100% pushing so hard with all of this and all of this. And be honest with yourself, because I am being 100% honest when I know that I have not given it my all the last few weeks. So I'm not going to pretend as if I was a perfect little girl and therefore it's the only reason. It's not. But it's part of the reason, and it's also part of the healing, right? So let me go back to that point about hormones that I was going to say, because this comes back to the fats thing. So the really important part to understand as well is fat, the stuff that you eat, and the fat, the stuff that is stored on your body, is kind of two different things, right? So the fat that you eat is a really crucial macronutrient that you need, right? Because it will help support your hormone health. Your hormone health is the most important thing when it comes to fat loss, when it comes to your body composition, right? If your hormones are completely out of whack, you are just going to find it so difficult. Not to mention all the usual stuff, your hair, your skin, your nails, yes, I said skin, didn't I? But yeah, like skin quality, all that kind of stuff. If you aren't eating enough fats, your hormones are going to be all up the fuck, and you're just basically not going to be able to maintain health in those things at all, right? So that's really, really crucial. As well as obviously, like I said, if you're finding it really difficult to shift the weight and you think you're doing all the things right, which, that may or may not be as well. So, definitely get some second opinions on that, right? Because what is right for someone else is not necessarily right for you. That's really important to understand. You are individual. But if you are doing all those things right and you're still finding it that the fat loss is it's just not happening. It's just not happening the way that you really think that it should be for the amount of effort you're putting in, then you might need to have a look at where the stresses in your life are. And I don't mean you need to sleep more. Not everyone needs to sleep more, right? I have chosen to sleep 5 to 6 hours a night. I did go a little bit less for a bit, but I found that sort of 5-hour mark was my sweet spot. And occasionally I stretched it out to 6. So it's not, that you need more sleep or anything like that. Everyone is absolutely different, and you can actually train yourself into that, especially when it's quality sleep. Like I said before, I have a really high level of self-care in the sense that I meditate every single day. So that's a part of it that I know I don't need as much sleep, because I know my body itself doesn't need to be lying still, not moving for that long. But my mind does. My mind needs to regenerate a little bit. So that's why I do the daily meditation, right? And so there's all this stuff that I probably don't talk about nearly enough. There's my kinesiology that I obviously get done, massages. I do different like yoga and body balance and all that kind of stuff for body maintenance and all this kind of stuff. And not to mention my entire skincare regime, and everything is entirely organic and vegan and all that kind of stuff. And there's heaps, like I'm just rattling random stuff off, right? But it's really important to understand that behind the scenes, right, there's a lot more going on than just go and work and hustle and all that kind of stuff. And I think sometimes I don't talk about that enough, right? So that is what I wanted to talk about, especially that fat loss bit about basically having a look at your stresses and how you can possibly get your body into less of a stressed, toxic state, because that toxicity is what is holding your fat in, because it needs it. It needs it there to basically to relax not to relax. Sorry, I'm getting distracted trying to figure out what time it is. Cool, that's all right, I've still got time. So it's holding it there, right? It's holding that fat in place to protect itself. You get rid of that inflammation, you get rid of the toxicity, you get rid of whatever it is that is stressing your body so severely, and the fat will shift. And yes, it will be almost magical, right? Because it's not holding it there for energy, it's holding it there for protection. If you take away the thing that it's trying to protect you from, voila, right? And this is why I'm doing this stream today, because I am actually really excited to see how this pans out over the next 3 weeks for my cleanse that I'm doing for myself. And I want to report back, and I want to let you guys know how it goes, so that, if this is something that interests you, and then, hey, maybe I'll sell you all on kinesiology. Who knows? I should get some stocks in this, some shares. I'll get right on that. All right. So really important as well, before I leave, I have to let you know, just in case you've missed the last 50,000 times I've said this, that the If It Fits Your Macro workshop is happening this weekend. So this is exactly what I talk about all the time in terms of having actually a plan that works for you. And this is going to help as well in terms of working out the stresses, working out the inflammation, working out the toxicity in your body, because it's not a diet plan. I'm not going to tell you what foods you can or can't eat. I'm not going to tell you what food is bad, what food is good, because everyone is different. And it's about figuring out what works for you and actually figuring out what kind of foods you need to be eating, right? And this is a lot simpler than you think. The process itself for figuring out the macros, so for example, you will get, basically what we'll go through is proteins, fats and carbohydrates, right? So there's 3 of them, the 3 macronutrients, and we'll go through what each of them mean for your body, how they're processed, all that kind of stuff, and how to work out how much of them you need. So if you've ever done calorie or kilojoule counting, this is going to be very similar. And so this works really well with people who do love to have some kind of a plan and love to have some kind of control and idea about what they're doing and accountability. It's fantastic. Definitely in the long term, it's not something that you need to kind of track every single day, constantly in and out. I don't do that anymore. I do sometimes when I need to just recheck or whatever, and you can definitely count. I know people have counted this for years and years and years, and it's easy because it becomes part of your habits. You know what foods you're eating anyway. You basically have a baseline of the kind of foods that you eat, yada, yada, right? So in the workshop, we're going to go through how to work out those macronutrients for you specifically, not for anyone else, for you. Not to mention, obviously, go through as well how you can include alcohol, how the fact that you're eating, clean food or junk food or whatever isn't actually the thing that's going to make the difference. It would definitely go through all that stuff about hormones as well. And then once we've gone through the workshop part of it, I'm going to help you implement it. And you're also going to get a week's worth of Facebook support from me. So this will all happen in a private Facebook group, which is already set up, and we've already got some of the members in there now. So we're going to all jump on there. Workshop is going to be happening live on Sunday night. The replay will be available straight away. So if you can't make it for the live one, that's not an issue because you're going to have the replay for life, right? And then for a week after that, you're going to have access into that Facebook group to ask me any questions that you have, get feedback, send me your numbers, send me the foods, all that kind of stuff, any questions that you have, which always comes up when there's a learning curve, right? Because I'm not giving you here, have your chicken, rice and broccoli 3 times a day and enjoy. This is freedom. This is freedom and flexible based eating. So you get to choose what food you want to eat based on what you enjoy, and you're still going to get the results you want. So obviously the dieting part is a big part because that's kind of what I specialize in, is the fat loss part of it. So we'll go through that. But this way of eating will take you through any kind of lifestyle that you want. So if you want to maintain, for example, you get to a stage where you're happy with your weight, but maybe you just want a little more muscle, or you might even want a little more fat. I don't know. Some people are skinny, right? So they want to gain fat, which is fine. Or you want to gain a lot more muscle and a lot more fat. You're in like a gaining stage. That will work as well. And it's easily adjustable and it's easily checkable. Right? So you know how sometimes you've had a diet plan and you're like, oh, I don't think it's really working for me. I don't think I'm at the right calorie count or whatever it is, but I don't really know how to adjust it. You will get taught how to adjust it in a way that's so easy and so maintainable, which is the most important part, right? So there is definitely a lot more knowledge and a lot more implementation that goes into it at the beginning, but it's worth it. It's worth it to actually know what works for your body, how to implement it long term, how to get the results you want without ever having to say, oh, I'm not allowed pizza on this diet, or I'm not allowed chocolate on this diet, or I'm not allowed alcohol ever again, right? This is life. And I want this, I just wish I could get everybody onto this so that it makes everyone's life so much simpler, gets you there. All right. So you will have to jump onto anabrooks.com.au/IIFYM. So I'll pop that link down below. as usual. So you can jump on there. Remember, it is happening Sunday night, so you need to get registered soon so you can get your introductory email, get into the group, get all ready. And then Sunday night, it's on. You'll be able to watch me live during the webinar, ask any questions as we go along, of course, and then a full week of support as well afterwards to ask me any questions you want. Also, check out the VIP option if you already know that you are a VI and that you need and deserve to basically get this absolutely nailed down. The VIP option gives you another 3 weeks of support in that Facebook group, right? So that's definitely a way to make sure you've got a full month of help from me, which is just absolutely going to blow your mind because if you've done one of my programs before, if you haven't, then I'll let you know. I always over-deliver. It's kind of my thing. There's, I always kind of, I think about the stuff that I'm going to explain, and then I just go well over the top always. And one thing that just keeps coming back from all the programs is just that it's just explained really thoroughly, and there's so much information. So I'm going to try and actually keep this on a smaller level because I know already how much information there needs to be in this. But like I said, at the end of the day, you're going to have, oh, that was a hard slap. At the end of the day, you're going to have the replay for as long as you want, for as many times as you want. So at the end of the day, you're going to get all the information through your head eventually. And it's just going to change absolutely everything. The way that you see your eating, the way that you see your diet, the way you see maintaining and getting the sexy shit hot body that you want, basically. That's what it comes down to. I mean, you know, health and all that stuff, obviously, as well. But hey, there's nothing wrong with aesthetics. There's nothing wrong with wanting to look and feel just shit hot, right? Cool. So I'm going to leave it there. If you have any questions about today's feed, I'd love to know, apart from what is your cleanse, Anna, because I'm not going to share that secret, because it's not a secret. It's just me, right? It's just my body. But you need to, if you've just tuned in, you need to listen to the start of it to make sense of that, right? All right, I'm going to head off and I will see you guys soon. Do not forget to register for the workshop. It's happening this Sunday. I'm so excited. All right, bye guys.